Hi, and welcome to our unit on point of view. Today's just going to be a brief introduction to let you know kind of what to expect from this unit and help you understand what point of view is and why it is so important. So, the first reason, and the most important reason that it is so important for our stories is because it helps the reader understand the character's feelings and actions. Each character will have his or her own perspective. So whoever's telling the story will impact the reader's opinion of all the other characters and the events that are taking place. So when you use point of view correctly, it helps immerse the reader in a character's life. And that's why it is so important to decide from the very beginning whose point of view are you telling the story from. Maybe it's a narrator that's not actually a character, and we will talk about that in another unit. And then once you choose that character, is it going to be first person or third person? Is it going to be limited? Is it going to be omniscient? And we will cover all of those things in this unit. But for now, I just want to talk about how choosing the point of view can help. It makes it easier for your reader to know and understand your character's hopes, their fears, their motivations. And it all depends on how you come at that and who is the most important in that story, whose flavor do you want the reader to connect with. So point of view is also the best way, or one of the best ways, that you can dig deeper and show instead of tell the reader what's happening. And that's going to be a unit all on its own, show versus tell. So the best rule of thumb when trying to decide whose point of view to tell your story is you need to use the character that has the most to lose in that moment or scene. So your book might just have one point of view, one character that tells the entire story. But a lot of genres will have different chapters from different people's points of view. And that's when you need to come back and ask that question, who has the most to lose right now in this scene that I'm sharing? And whoever it is, that's the person you want to choose to use their point of view. This is kind of a learned skill. I'll give you an example. My rough drafts usually kind of skim the surface when I first write them. And many times I have started revisions knowing that I would need to dig deeper and completely rewrite a scene from a different character's point of view in order to achieve the most impact. For instance, when I was writing Dawn of the Mages, I had a scene where I have multiple points of view in that book. There's Landry, there's Talia, and then there's a couple of other people, but Landry and Talia are my two main ones. And I had a scene where Landry was captured. And at first, in the draft, I wrote it from his point of view. And we got to see his struggle to hide from these soldiers who were coming into the building. We saw him trying to get past them. Then we saw him knowing that there was no way he could get out and then fighting. And then being overwhelmed, we saw him captured and the controllers taking him away to beat and question him. And it was okay. I mean, I'll be honest, I kind of felt like it was meh. And that could be because I'm not really good at writing fight scenes. They're not my strong suit. But during revisions, I rewrote it from Talia's point of view. Now, what you need to know is that these characters are married. They can talk to each other telepathically, even over short distances at this point in the story. And when I rewrote it from Talia's point of view, I liked it much better. So in this scene, she's actually on the outside of the building. She's watching the soldiers stream into this place where she knows her husband is, and she just knows that he can't get out. Her mind is connected to his, so he can feel his worry, his concern, before he finally blocks her and locks her out of his sharing his memories and his emotions from that distance. And previous to this, she has had a dream about him being captured. And so that's haunting her in the back of her mind because she knows this is where it's starting to come true and that he's going to be captured and he's going to be taken away. And since he's really the only person she has, the only true friend, the only family left, he's her everything. And she's losing it in that moment. She knows it, and there's no way to stop it. And so these ended up being two completely different scenes, being from the two points of view. Part of it, probably, he's military. He looked at it very logically. She is not military, and she was very emotional about it. And readers want to connect to the emotion of their characters, whatever it is. You want them to feel something. So by changing whose point of view I wrote that scene in, it made a huge difference. You could probably argue that I could have put both scenes in the book, and I probably could have, but there was really no need to see it from both sides. And so I chose the one that had the most emotional impact for me, hoping that it would also strike a chord with my readers. All right, so in the rest of this unit, we're going to talk about the most common points of view. I already mentioned them first and third, and there's limited and omniscient, and we will touch on second. All of these have been done and will continue to be done. They all have strengths and weaknesses, and we're going to cover those. And I also am going to cover head hopping, and that's where you change points of view within a scene. People still do this, but it's not a good thing. You want to stay on one character's point of view. So stay tuned, and we will get to point of view, and you can ask your questions, and hopefully it'll help you as you write to choose the best point of view to stay in.